Hello and welcome back to Blake's Den. So this is my Land Rover Defender 300 TDI. You've seen a few videos of this so far. So I think in one of my last videos I said the radiator needs replacing. So I based that upon the fact it was leaking coolant out the bottom, and also when I've had the grill off previously I've noticed it was very badly corroded. Anyway, turns out it's not leaking from there at all. It's leaking from the water pump and possibly the P gasket behind. So the P gasket is like a known failure point on these, and it sort of sits right in there. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of a job to get it out. I've bought a new water pump, I've bought a new gasket for the water pump and a new P gasket, because there's sort of two gaskets. I need to take the fan belt off, I need to take coolant pipes off, I need to drop the coolant. So yeah, quite a bit of a job there, so I might as well make a start. It's now a completely different day for reasons, and what I'm doing here is I'm draining out the coolant, but I'm using an oil siphon pump. Ignore the bits of oil in there, that was just what was left in the pipe. The reason I'm doing it this way is the traditional way is to pull off the bottom hose of the radiator, and that'll get coolant everywhere, but coolant's quite harmful to animals and pets and wildlife, so I'm trying to do it in a bit more controlled manner. So as if by magic, it's daylight again. I need to get the fan belt off. To do that I need to get the nut off on the viscous fan, which is, you need a special spanner for. It's just a thin spanner, and it's left hand thread, so it's lefty tighty, righty loosey. So to undo that I've just put a socket on the alternator just to sort of jam it up. So it should allow me to undo this. There we are. Okay, so that's loosened off now. So I'm not going to film the next bit in great detail. There's other videos on YouTube which show it in great detail of what to do, but basically when I get you back I should have the belt off, and yeah, we should be able to see a bit more what the problem is. Situation update. So the fan is off, the belt is off, the belt is very worn, so I've got a new one anyway. I've got access to the water pump, ignore them. Water pump is making quite a noise when you turn it, so I've got a new pump to go on. The idler is making a bit of a noise as well, but it's actually spinning quite freely, so I'm not replacing that. I haven't got one anyway. So now, this whole bracket here, which holds the water pump on and I think the alternator on, needs to come off. The P gasket is on the back of this, between the block and this bracket. So I think the tensioner's got to come off and the alternator's got to come off now. Got the alternator off. Despite how it looks, it's absolutely fine. You can see all that, like, I don't know, calcite, I guess you'd call it, furriness from the water leak. But actually fine. The output voltage is fine, output current's fine, no bearing noises. So yeah, so I may have messed up here as well, because you've got to remove this pulley. So when you buy a new water pump, it doesn't come with a pulley. Now I'm going to replace the water pump at the same time. Don't have to, I suppose, but basically you've got to get these off, and I should have slackened those off whilst the belt was on, but I didn't. But I'm hoping the whole thing will come off and I'll be able to get this on the bench in a vise or something and loosen it off that way. Now I need to get the power steering pump off, which is that lower pulley, and somehow get it out of the way, and then that should expose the bolts to get this off, and then I can get to the P gasket. Here's a Blake's Den top tip. The pulley needs to come off before you remove the power steering bracket. To get the pulley off, you need the belt on. To have the belt on, you need the alternator and the tensioner on, which you've just taken off. So what I've just done now, I've just put a ratchet strap around and just tightened it up, and then it just provided enough tension for me to shock off the 3 bolts holding the pulley on. I might try the same actually for the water pump now and just get them loose for the water pump pulley. And I think we're just in time there because it's just starting to rain. So okay, I'll withdraw that full assembly. Is it stud down, or long bolt down the bottom? I just need to get out of the way. There we are, that's clear now. And there we are. Right. So that's the P gasket there, because it's sort of P-shaped, and you can see it's, well, there you are, it's just fallen apart. So that is the original paper gasket as well. So I'm going to hazard a guess and say that has been on since new, and the upgrade is to a steel or metal gasket anyway, like a metal sandwich construction. So yeah, that's done right. 111,000 miles and how many years? 25, 6 years. So yeah, hasn't done too bad. Right, we'll go inside and we'll clean everything up. Back in the relative comfort of the garage, you can see the assembly here. So this is the water pump, and if you listen, so that was clearly on its way out anyway, so I've got the new pump to go in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get the pulley off first, and then remove these bolts, and that'll separate the water pump from the housing, and then we can get everything cleaned up. I'm using my impact gun to whiz off these bolts here, holding the water pump pulley on. So I hold the pulley and then pull the trigger. Quite easy to do. Put that pulley to one side and then I'll take the pump assembly apart. Water pump is now off, and this bolt wouldn't come out, and you can see the corrosion and the staining around there. I think that was where my leak was. Possibly even not the P gasket. So that would correspond to here. See where the gasket is split and we've got staining behind. So, I mean, they both needed doing. You saw how deteriorated the P gasket was. So, yeah, in this water pump, it's stiff as anything. So, I'll get this all apart, cleaned up, and then we'll get ready for reassembly. I've spent a bit of time cleaning up the casting there. I've also got the gasket surface of a water pump super smooth, just using some wet and dry paper and a bit of WD-40. And then on the back, where the P gasket goes, I've got that smooth. There's still a few bits on there, so I might give it another go. Yeah, got the new water pump, which is here. So this is a Britpart item with a 24-month warranty, so it already feels much smoother than the old pump. And that's a new gasket, so that goes on there, and then that goes on there. Something a bit like that. Obviously line up the holes. Right, so I'm going to bolt that all together, and I need to clean the mating surfaces up on the engine block. When I started off on this journey, I initially thought the radiator was leaking, then found out it was water pump, but that was after I'd already ordered a radiator. So I wasn't going to change the radiator now, but then I realised, hang on a minute, I can pretty much have this radiator out in about half an hour, undo a few brackets, all the belts are out the way, the fan's already off, coolant's pretty much all drained, so I am actually going to change the radiator now. So I'm going to quickly get that out in the remaining daylight I have left today. It's taken me about 15 minutes to strip that down. You can still see it's light outside. The radiator is still in. It is looking actually pretty knackered down the bottom, so probably worth doing. The only complicated bit is it's an integrated radiator and oil cooler, so you need to pop off these rusty pipes here and then get something to catch the oil, and then yeah, undo the bottom hose and it'll be free. And the radiator is out, so old one on the left, new one on the right. The old one actually doesn't look too bad. So you got lots of green verdigris stuff where it's been sort of had very small leaks, but the worst bit is that edge there. It's just rusted away, but I think what has happened is actually it's just rainwater been sitting in there and just, you know, not been able to escape, and that's rotted it out at the bottom. So Interestingly, the new one is a lot tighter at the bottom, so that could be the reason. It came out fine. The only problem I had was the bottom hose Jubilee clip, when that focuses, was just completely knackered, but I put a bit of force on it and it snapped, so it came off. I had new pipes, top, upper and lower pipes to go on just in case. But yeah, there we are. So it's a bit bigger than what I'm normally used to as my foot for comparison. So yeah, right. As I say, refitting is the reversal of removal. It's another day, and it's a rainy day. We just had a storm pass through yesterday. I think this is a remnant of it. So back to the engine. Cleaned up the gasket surface. That's a new P gasket because it looks like a letter P, and that goes on there. I'll probably put a stud in just to hold it temporarily, and then I'll get the water pump assembly back on and yeah, start reassembly. So you see I've put a bit of M8 studding in there, and then I've got my shiny assembly to go back in this way around. So the gasket's on there, that's sort of not going to slip out of position. And then just got to work out which way around it goes. I think it goes that way. Yeah. Move that wiring loom out the way. There we are. So now I can start getting the other bolts in, then take that studding out, and yeah, just start putting it back together. Also as well, I'm dipping all the bolts in copper grease and just to make them anti-seize. So hopefully the next time I do this in about 20 years time, I won't struggle. That's all back in now. It's a new water pump. Yeah, that went well. No fasteners left over. Still got to put the pump, pulley wheel on the power steering pump. One thing I want to do now before I forget is, one, change that plastic bung because it's not looking too clever. That is just spark plug wrench, takes that out. And the next thing I want to do, I want to change the thermostat. So I want to take this housing off here. The Defender, when I've had it, even driving on a one day, it's never really got up to temperature properly. So I suspect that thermostat is a bit goosed. So let's have a look. It's the old on the left and the new on the right. Both identical really. That one seems a lot freer. I think I might put some boiling water and see what happens. But anyway, I'm going to put that one in and change that plastic cap. Another job I want to do, whilst I've got it all apart, is replace some of the pipes. So I think these are original pipes, perfectly functional, but they're just looking a bit tired. So yeah, I'll put the new pipes on as well. And then we can probably think about putting the belt on and then the radiator back in, I think. So yeah, winning. Really fighting the weather today. It's raining, so keep going underneath my Land Rover umbrella. Right, fan belt's on, auxiliary drive belt, whatever you want to call it. It's on there. So I think now is the time to drop the new radiator in. We'll get the bottom hose connected up. I've got a new top hose to go on, which sort of goes here. Got the oil pipes to reconnect, and yeah, we're getting very close to being done. Just back in the garage very quickly. I was trying to work out whether to put some PTFE or plumber's tape on these for the oil cooler, and I noticed the old one has 2 O-rings in, so it'll be very easy to forget to put those in. Luckily, a big stash of O-rings, found the one which was the right size, put it in, and hopefully that'll do the job. Just stopped for a quick break there. We all plumbed up, pipes back on, intercooler pipes, coolant pipes. Oil pipes were a bit of a struggle, but got them on in the end. And yeah, next job is I need to get the radiator top bar slam panel jobby on, and viscous fan cowling and the grill, but not necessarily in that order. Once that's done, I need to check the oil and then fill up the coolant. We're all back together. We've got no bits left over, so we must nearly be there. So I've got my glycol antifreeze You don't want the OAT stuff, the oat stuff for an old car. You need the glycol. I've removed the fill plugs from a header tank, thermostat housing and radiator. I've got a load of water, so I'm going to fill it up with water first, not full but about halfway, and then I'm going to put the antifreeze in. Helpfully it's about 10 litre coolant capacity, and that is 5 litres. So if I do that, then I've got a 50-50 mix, which is exactly what I want. So yeah, I'll start filling it up and squeeze all the pipes to get as much air out as possible. We're now all topped up. You'll notice that the grill is off again. It's because I had some drips at that end. You know, enough to put a bucket under. That looks like that coolant I put in. I can't work out why it would be coming out that end. There's no radiator pipes on that side. There's this top hose, breather hose, and that's it. So I don't know if it was just a bit of overspill when I put it in. Stuff run down the side of a funnel and out. Not sure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run it, get it up to temperature and see what happens. Well, I think we'll call that a win. Left it idling for about 15 minutes. Didn't really come up to temperature at all. So I took it out for a run. And yeah, got up to temperature fine. I even had heat out of the heater, which is a first for many of a Land Rover owner. It's dripping, but that's not because of the radiator. That is because I've been splashing through puddles. Had it when I was on idle, the drip stopped completely. So I think it was just a bit of overfill, really. So the only one job left to do, which I'll do tomorrow when it's cold, is just check the level and just top it up if it needs topping up. So hope you found that video useful and interesting. It was a whistle-stop tour of upgrading the cooling on the 300 TDI engine in the Defender. So if you liked the video, press like, press subscribe as well, and the bell notification to subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.